Okay. Okay. Do you want to open it up, Tad?
Well, sure, yes, and hello everyone. Thanks for joining this. We're really excited about kicking off our winter series with Fru from. I was going to talk about the struggle in South Cameroon, and Fru, I just looked it up on a map, and I don't know if you've got one available. Or maybe you'll show it to us, but it was, it's a part of Western Africa that we probably don't hear enough about. So we're eager to hear from you. But we're really looking forward, and Wendy has brought Fru in for this conversation and is going to give us an introduction to it, and really looking forward to hearing about the struggle.
Right. Well, I'm so happy that Fru agreed to come to our Lyceum. I have known Fru for about 5 years since I started working in Lowell at Lowell Telemedia Center. And Fru is, he is on the board of directors of the organization and also a longtime producer of a program called Africa Hour. Fru is an IT professional, but also a political organizer. And he has been really instrumental in helping the African diaspora from Southern Cameroon to organize and to get their word out about the civil war that's going on in Southern Cameroon. Cameroon is a country in Africa, as Tad said, right next to Nigeria. And so I'm just going to invite Fru to say a few words about what's going on there. And hopefully we will all learn a lot about this really horrendous civil war.
Thank you very much, Wendy. And I speak for all Ambazonian, and particularly for those who don't have voices. And on their behalf, I would really want to thank you for your compassion and to advocate for people thousands of miles across the ocean that you've never met. I think it is really because of your advocacy that the crisis in Southern Cameroon has become local here, because it is you who actually allow the interim government of the Southern Cameroon, when war was declared on us on November 30th, when they came here on September 2017. You were so gracious to welcome them at Telemedia and interviewed them. And then I introduced them to the mayor of Lowell, who welcomed them. And when the crisis started, the mayor of Lowell being the first city, actually recognized officially the crisis in Southern Cameroon. And BBC picked on that and was interviewing people. I mean, that's it, but I would like to thank you very much.
It is certainly my pleasure.
And also, I would also like to thank all of you for your precious time this hour. I believe that your presence will really add a lot of voice to the American media people, to be able to feel the pain of my people. And as we say in Cameroon, blood is thicker than water. If I am able to make you see the suffering and that innocent people are being slaughtered every day, and maybe in your own little way, bring that to the public, and he may hear some voice and even move up the channel to the powers that be to do something to bring peace in that part of the world, that will be very, very welcome. So thank you for listening to me. My name is Fru Nkimbeng. I was born in Bamenda. Bamenda is the economic capital of southern Cameroon. I came here for education. I got my admission into Roxbury Community, ended Roxbury Community College for 1 year, and then transfer to University of Lowell. I am actually, if not the last batch of University of Lowell before it became UMass Lowell. So I had a bachelor's in economics with the minor in MIS. And then I went to graduate school at Rivier, University of Rivier in Nashua. Then it was Rivier College. And I also did a graduate program at BU, Management Nonprofit Training Management Program at BU. So that's a little bit about me. Maybe down the line, I will talk more about what is driving me to do what I'm doing. But important things first about Southern Cameroon. Southern Cameroon, the location of Southern Cameroon, if you could close your eye and then bend down and put your arm to your navel, you will see that Cameroon is just along the Atlantic Ocean where your arm touches your navel, and that is where Nigeria is. So that's how I could position Southern Cameroon. Okay, yes, right. That's great. Yep, that is Cameroon right there. And the haunch area, if you can just move your mouse towards the haunch area.
Above Douala.
Yeah, you can see the line from Douala going up to the end, and then you can see Bamenda right up there.
Right here.
Right, that is Bamenda. And Boya is the capital of British Southern Cameroon. And Bamenda is the economic capital. I was born in Bamenda. A little brief history. The name Cameroon comes from the Portuguese word Camarues. The Portuguese in the 14th century, they arrived the west coast of Africa and found a lot of shrimps. So they called that area Rio dos Camarues. And then from there came the name Cameroon. So in 1884, during the Berlin Conference, the Europeans met in Berlin and partitioned Africa without the consent of Africa. So you had Cameroon was a German colony. You had Cameroon, Burundi, Togo, Rwanda, Tanzania, and Namibia. Those were German colonies. Then in 1920, the First World War ended with the defeat of Germany, and Germany lost all its territories at the Treaty of Versailles in France. German Cameroon was divided into two territories under the League of Nations and administered by Britain and France. In 1946, the League of Nations ceased to exist with the creation of the United Nations. The two territories of Cameroon, that's the English Cameroon and British Cameroon, were now put under the trusteeship of the United Nations and administered by France and Britain. So in actual fact, Cameroon was neither a colony of French nor a colony of the British as Nigeria, but a trust territory of the UN. So the trust territories of Cameroon under the French administration achieved its independence on 1st of January 1960 and had the name was La République du Cameroun, or the Republic of Cameroon. And prior to that, Southern Cameroon, the English Cameroon, had an autonomy since from 1954 to 1959. They've had 3 successive governments. And Southern Cameroon was the first democratically country in Africa. On January 1st, 1960, French Cameroon got its independence. English Cameroon, the British Cameroon were two, the Northern Cameroon and the Southern Cameroon. The Southern, in a plebiscite, the Northern Cameroon voted to join Nigeria. But with the experience that the Southern Cameroon, that was administered as a British territory from Nigeria, which Nigeria was a British colony, we were treated badly. So the political leaders from Southern Cameroon left Nigeria, came to Southern Cameroon, and established their own autonomy. That's from 1954 to 1959. We had 3 prime ministers, and our first prime minister was Dr. E.M. Ndele. The second prime minister was John Go Foncha, and then the third prime minister was Jua. You would see in the slide. During that time, you would see that Southern Cameroon politically was very, very developed. On the other side of the French Cameroon, they were under the control of France, and they never really tasted the fruits of democracy or multi-party system. So in 1961, when Southern Cameroon was supposed to have its independence, they had only 2 choices. Either you have your independence by joining the Republic of Nigeria, or you have your independence by joining the trust territory of the French Cameroon. And it's worthy to mention that at the UN, United States and other 64 countries voted for the independence of the Southern Cameroon. And it's worth to stress that Southern Cameroon and French Cameroon were trust territories. French Cameroon under the French, and then Southern Cameroon under the British. So you would understand that Southern Cameroon is 20% of the population of the Cameroons. So when they came together to join the French Cameroon, it was agreed that it would be a federation, a federated state, like what is in this country. And it's also important to note that French Cameroon, their own system of education is different. Their legal system, they practice the civil law, while in English Cameroon, they practice the common law. So it is the culture is really different. So after the federation, which lasted very briefly, the name of the country changed from Republic of Cameroon, which was French Cameroon, to the Federal Republic of Cameroon. And the flag also changed to green, red, yellow with 2 stars, equal stars representing both Cameroons, and that all of them will maintain their autonomy, but they will share the federal government. So in 1972, French Cameroon president, whom they never tested multi-party system, they conducted some sort of a referendum. And if you would imagine that almost 80% of the population and 20% of the population, the referendum will definitely go for the way of the French Cameroon. So unilaterally, they changed the name from the Federal Republic of Cameroon to United Republic of Cameroon, breaking the first law. It was stated that the form and the name of the country will never be changed. So from the Federal Republic of Cameroon, now we see a United Republic of Cameroon, eliminating the 2 stars on the flag and allowing it with 1 star. 1984, the current president, who has been in the government since independence, unilaterally changed the name of the country to Republic of Cameroon. You remember the French Cameroon's name was Republic of Cameroon at independence. So gradually they have been using a tactic of assimilation. So all this while, Anglophones, we have been marginalized and left out of government. Our educational system was really diluted because they would send French teachers to come over to the English side and teach English. One most important thing that people should understand is, even though we are 20% of the population, we contribute 70% to the national GDP. So it is all about the resources. And with this, there had always been a saying in Cameroon that the French Cameroon will gradually dissolve us, because when we joined them, we were one entity. They implemented the divide and rule system to split Southern Cameroon into 2 parts, and they always call us 2 cubes of sugar, that they will actually dissolve the 2 cubes of sugar. Okay, long story short, we've been under domination, oppression for more than 50 years. In 2016, the teachers peacefully demonstrated, asking for the government to allow the English Cameroon system of education to be implemented. The government will not. The lawyers peacefully demonstrated, asking that the common law system should be respected in Cameroon. What the government did was said they were going to have a meeting, and indirectly they were arresting the leaders of this movement, and some of them were killed. So when you will see the video, you will see that people are peacefully demonstrating, then the government brings the military to kill people. So on November 30th, 2017, President, coming back from a foreign trip, landed at the airport and declared war on the peaceful Southern Cameroon, because they thought that it was really time for them to dissolve the 2 cubes of sugar. Unbeknown to them, their own strategy was that it would take about 2 months to defeat Southern Cameroon. And it's been going on for 4 years now. The death toll is very high. There are hundreds of thousands of refugees in the neighboring countries. Families have been displaced. There are millions of internal displaced people. The government is undertaking an ethnic cleansing policy, burning houses, burning people alive, the old, the young were burnt alive, schools were burnt alive, hospitals are burnt. I mean, the video really explains it. So, but unfortunately, amid all this, the international community is very, very silent. I hope, that's really in a nutshell, I hope that this discussion will be able to maybe open our minds, and we start talking to the people and spreading the word, because I do believe that the situation in Cameroon needs world attention like other crises. And it is my hope that the power of the people is more important than the people in power. And when the people in power abuse the power of the people, something really has to be done. And the people in power in Cameroon have abused the powers that the people have given to them for so long. And I hope that in this discussion, we'll be able to ask questions and to further understand the situation in southern Cameroon. Not sure that's the picture.
Oh, very gruesome.
Mhm.
But this is happening all the time in southern Cameroon.
Last Saturday, they came to a village. Um, uh, People were gathered together to celebrate. The army just came down and killed 10 kids, babies, women, and that's how it has been happening every day. I even read BBC Africa reported on it. I sent the audio to Wendy.
Yeah.
So I think I don't know why the international press has not been able to bring this to their attention. But one thing is clear. France is sponsoring what is going on in Cameroon. And France is a member of the Security Council. And they stand in the way of anything about Cameroon. Our only hope is that if our brothers and friends and brothers in Christ, sisters in Christ, if the average man on the street knows exactly what is going on, they are the ones that will hold the elected officials accountable, and this can rise through the channel to the powers that be and impact something, because we don't have the deep pockets that the government has. The government has the ammunition. We are carrying leaves, advocating peace, and that's where we are.
Um, I see that there are a couple of questions in the chat, Fru. Charles, do you want to just ask your question?
I said it made me ashamed of my French name, so I'm not here supporting Cameroon by any means, but I'm wondering if it's the natural resources in Ambazonia, which are the primary reason that Cameroon won't recognize Ambazonia's independence.
Hi, Charles. That's a very, very important question. I think that what people should understand is that Cameroon can survive without France, but France cannot survive without Cameroon. And to put it in blunt terms, Africa can survive without Europe, but Europe cannot survive without Africa. Whatever is going on in the southern Cameroon, the blood of the red blood of the southern Cameroonian is being sacrificed for the black blood that is underneath the oil. Southern Cameroon has one of the largest oil deposits in the Gulf of Guinea. Southern Cameroon is very rich, it's the richest area it has a lot of minerals. And if you can just think of Southern Cameroon being independent would be the richer than Kuwait. Anyway, I don't know if I answered your question.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, the oil resources. And thank you.
Welcome.
Becky had a question.
I think you answered it just then too. My question was, what is in it for the French to be supporting? And it's about natural resources, it sounds like, and history.
That's very true. And if you should understand that the French colonies, territories in Africa, they never really got their independence. It was only one country that got its independence from France, and that was Guinea. They did not want to sign the Accord d'Opération with the French, which means that if France had total control over their natural resources, none of those countries could actually sign any contract with any country in the world without France allowing them to, unless France doesn't like it before they can do that. And all their monetary deposits France is the one that prints the currency of this country. And in the French zone, they have what they call CFA, which is French colonial area. France, that paper is worth nothing. So they print the papers, they send it to the French area and control them. English-speaking countries in Africa, they don't really have that mentality. Because under General de Gaulle, he had this philosophy of France Afrique, which he brainwashed the Africans that they are part of the French nation, so, which is quite different from English-speaking country. That is why you would see that France helping the French Cameroon to subdue and actually intimidate and extinguish the identity of English Cameroon, because they see us as a threat that we will educate and radicalize the French-speaking Cameroonians to stand up for their true freedom.
Ah,
Wow.
Hmm.
Dave Blum has a question.
Is there an ethnic or tribal aspect to this? Are Southern Cameroonians different in some way than Northern Cameroon? And I also, correct me if I'm wrong, Fru, but isn't Southern Cameroon near Biafra, which also had a very horrible history of civil war with Nigeria and led to terrible famine? And aren't they near each other, Southern Cameroon and Biafra, or no?
Well, David, you are very right. I mentioned earlier that Southern Cameroon, under the British trusteeship, were being administered in Nigeria. So the parliamentarians from the parliament was in Enugu in Nigeria. So the Southern Cameroonian parliamentarians, they will attend that parliament. But the treatment that we got from the Nigerians, and particularly since we are closer, the Biafra, the Igbos, made our leaders to walk out of that parliament and came and form our own state. So, and you talked about the civil war in Nigeria in the 60s. You know, France was behind that civil war, and it was a war of oil, because that Biafra is very rich in oil. Yeah, France was the one supporting Biafra. And if you also come over to Southern Cameroon, there is a place called, a part of Southern Cameroon that's called Bakassi. Actually, that's the richest oil deposit, the largest, the biggest oil deposit in that area. And Southern Cameroon had claimed control over that area, and there were problems between Cameroon and Nigeria. The International Court, Southern Cameroon won that case, and that part of that rich part of Southern Cameroon was given. Nigeria handed it back to Southern Cameroon. So it is really it's a war of economic. And the worst thing that is really bad about this is African colonialism, killing Africans. And Southern French Cameroon, La République, has made the international community think that this is an internal problem. These are two different, independent states. So at the international, they have successfully conveyed that message that whatever takes place should be an internal problem. It's not an international problem. But these are two states recognized by the UN. They have their language. They have their different culture. And David, you talked about culture. The culture of the English Cameroon is very different from the French Cameroon in terms of language, in terms of mentality, in terms of their legal system. In English Cameroon, we believe in peaceful demonstration. In French Cameroon, demonstration will actually invite the heavy arm of the army to crush.
So, Fru, you mentioned ethnic cleansing. And
Yes.
so is there a distinction? I think what Dave's question was, is there a distinction, an ethnic distinction, or is it just language?
Culture.
Southern Cameroon, we are when I mention ethnic cleansing, means that Southern Cameroon is considered as one ethnic, because when you cross the boundary, the international boundary between Southern Cameroon and French Cameroon is the Mongo River. On the east side of the Mongo River, you have French Cameroon. On the west side of the Mongo River, you have Southern Cameroon. The unity of Southern Cameroon made that Southern Cameroon will be strong. When we join French Cameroon, and because of their dominance in government, they partition Southern Cameroon into two states. The philosophy of divide and conquer. And systematically, they have been pitching the southern part or the southern region of Southern Cameroon against the northern region of Southern Cameroon. And the killings that you have mentioned, that is the ethnic killing. They are only killing Southern Cameroonians. You would be shocked to believe that for 4 years, there have been no school in Southern Cameroon. And you cross over to French Cameroon, life is normal, and that is the same Cameroon. What would you think about that? This is one Cameroon, but on the other side, they are killing. And when you cross the river to French Cameroon, life is normal.
The people that you saw in the video who were in Lowell are now imprisoned right now in Cameroon, I think. Is that correct, Fru?
You're very correct, Winnie. That's another international cry. In 2017, when our people at home, after being massacred, and then we said that enough is enough. So the diaspora could not just sit and watch our brothers and sisters being massacred. So they formed the governing council. The seat was in Nigeria. So with the complicity of the Cameroon government and the Nigerian government, these guys, they were on asylum in Nigeria. They were repatriated to Cameroon. And they have all the 10 leaders of the movement. Cameroon took them. They are in jail now in Cameroon. And that is what has really killed the struggle. Even they thought that they were going to psychologically destroy us for 4 years. If a people who did not have weapons, who were demonstrating with branches and leaves, if they can stand a country like French Cameroon that is supported by France, support the armies, the soldiers are trained by Israel, the weapons are supplied and trained by the US, because during President Obama, the pressure was too much because the massacre was too much. They had to withdraw the military training that they were giving them. And even President Trump also suspended military aid to Cameroon. So the US is aware of it, and they are really doing something. But the elephant in the room is France.
So what can we do, practically speaking? What could we do? Should we write to our congressmen and our senators? What could we do?
Well, David, I think that's the most important question. I think that from the city council to the governor's office to the president's table, all these leaders, they are our brothers and sisters. We live with them. And my hope is that if we know any of these leaders, we can actually exert a lot of force. And particularly, I just think that there's a glimmer of hope right now that we have many people, important people from Massachusetts and particularly in Boston that could get the ear of our current, new president. We have Mayor Walsh. We have also Secretary of State, John Kerry, Senator Elizabeth Warren and Senator Ed Markey, if that's where I said that the power of the people is more important than the people in power, because the people in power are there because we put them there. And if we, the people, can let them know that there are innocent people around the world that are being massacred, they will think they will do something. And that is really, I as an individual, I am counting on the power of the people. And that is why this discussion, I give a lot of credit to Wendy, because this is another way now to spread the pain of my people into to you all, who probably can do something even though they are thousands of miles away.
I just wanted to say that it's not a usual civil war what's going on in Cameroon, because the people in southern Cameroon have no weapons at all. So the only way that they can make any inroads is by people outside of the country. And if their leaders are now imprisoned in Cameroon, it's the Americans, it's the English, it's the international community has to get behind this, because the people there really are pretty unable to do anything.
And to add on that, when you listen to what John McDougall said, the government of Cameroon has Cameroonians here that are trying to intimidate everyone. Even they called John on his show and threatened him. So even they have written so many letters against me at the city hall that I am a terrorist. To the lower police commissioner, only that they know exactly that we are not terrorists.
Yeah.
And you should also know that Lowell is a sister city with the city of Bamenda.
Yeah, so if anybody knows anyone in power, write to them right away.
Yeah. Well, this is very sad to hear.
Oh, Dick has a question, I guess.
Is there a well-received write-up in any of the, established and respectable media about the situation in the Cameroons, and that we could share with others? It explains the things you get explained it, but in a written form.
Oh, yes. I think after this discussion, I will probably forward that to Wendy. Then she can share that. That's really another way to educate people. And then another way for people also to know, with we live in a global village, and if you just type Ambazonian on Google, that information will really just come there. Right now, I have relatives that were killed in the massacre that happened on Saturday that I sent the audio to Wendy. As I am here right now, I cannot go back to Southern Cameroon because I am really the greatest threat. But we believe that justice will always prevail. It's just a question of how long the tyrant would hold. But we know that we are really on the right side of history, and that's, just for you to spend your precious time to listen to me, it gives me already hope. Really, it gives me hope. And our viewers around the world, and even Ambazonian, when they will be seeing this, they will really be encouraged.
I hope so.
Has the UN or other international organizations had any role at all with this? I know they, yeah.
Well, I can only speak from this, and Médecins Sans Frontières, they are in Cameroon. And there are many non-NGOs that are helping in Cameroon, but it would be very disheartening to hear that the French government is actually banning doctors without border in these affected areas.
Oh, no kidding. So they can be in other parts of Cameroon, but not in the southern part?
They are sending them away. And like you see the pastor that was killed. Southern Cameroonians are very, very hospitable people. He had gone there, he had been there, and he really enjoyed the people. So he moved there. I mean, they saw that this is an American. They targeted him. That was really, they killed him when it was not even up to a month in the country. And then in the end, they blamed it on the Ambazonian. When the heat was on, they said they arrested 3 of their armies who killed the minister.
Yeah.
Well, there is some,
It's such an eye opener. This is amazing.
Yeah.
That I knew so little about this area.
Right.
well, I was going to say there is some, the same sort of thing was happening in Sudan, between southern Sudan and northern Sudan. And people got involved in, now they're 2 separate countries. I don't know if that's similar to you, Fru, but I mean, it certainly was a terrible genocidal war that was going on there. And why they've chosen to ignore this, I guess it's because of France. I don't know.
You are very right, but the situation in southern Cameroon is unlike any other civil war. In Sudan was one country. When Sudan got its independence, it was one country. But Cameroon, southern Cameroon, as I mentioned, was an independent country before they joined French Cameroon.
Right.
So if you look, southern Cameroon was one of the most literate countries in Africa. I quite remember when in the 80s, before I came here, our leaders, they were warning us that you should not start a struggle when you are not prepared. Go to school, because it is easier to control and kill a serpent in the egg. Because if you start something now, the French Cameroon are going to crush you and you will be finished. So now I see, when I see how many southern Cameroonians that are scattered all over the world like stars, yeah, in many universities, it is that education that our forefathers were pushing us, because they saw in our numbers that our numbers were few. And the only thing that could sustain us is go and get the knowledge. Without that, I think we would have been finished. And that is the reason why French Cameroon has seen that education is what has sustained us thus far. And for 4 years, they have shut down complete education in southern Cameroon. And by the military action, they are actually accomplishing their ethnic cleansing, because they are driving the southern Cameroon to the French Cameroon. When they go there, they are under their control, and then it will be they will occupy the land, because they have been driven out and they are refugees in French Cameroon. So it is a very, very cynical and devilish act. It's not by only killing, but they are actually emptying the whole land, because anyone in southern Cameroon, most of them have fled to French Cameroon. And how could you be running to get refuge in the house of your enemy? And if I may also add, in the 60s, when French Cameroon was fighting for their independence, the French came there with an iron fist, and most of their political leaders, they sought asylum in southern Cameroon.
Well, the colonial powers really made a mess of Africa, that's for sure.
Well, but the world is becoming a global village. And if there is anything that can happen, I think discussions like this is the only eye opener, because like Tony said, that she never understood this. So forums like this is the only light, because the international France will do everything to eclipse, to put people in darkness, because they know that if the American population see this, they will stand up. And even if the French population see it, they will rise up. So they will do everything to block it from the media.
Interesting. Huh. Was there ever, I'm just curious about the history of like Algeria, also a French, just the whole concept of the French occupation of areas in Africa. Was it similar at all in terms of the French part of Cameroon?
Yeah, I mean, you know, in the 60s, that from 1959, the Algerian War of Independence is the most destructive war that happened in Africa, because France had considered that Algeria was part of France. Under president, I think their first president, Wari Boumediene, they fought, they lost a lot of life. And France destroyed Algeria because they stood up. They wanted to set an example to other African nations. And that is really the mentality of France imperialism in Africa. Even Mitterrand said, if France leave Africa, France will become a third world. That's from the mouth of the French president.
So you see the continuity. Yeah.
Yes, and if you realize, the first coup d'etat in Africa was in Togo, and that's a French colony, because they refused to accept French domination. And if you look across Africa, all French territory, they are the poorest, and they are war-torn countries. I'm sorry, but that's the reality. That's the truth. Any countries that
That's
are
really
developed in Africa, like Ghana, Nigeria, English-speaking countries.
Yeah, really interesting.
So echoes of
Well, thank
American
you.
slavery, where we built a nation by exploiting people. And this is France maintaining its wealth at the expense of Southern Cameroon. It's just exploitation.
Yeah, it's extractive.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, Southern Cameroon has a very good relationship with the US, because in the 60s, President Kennedy sent a lot of, he encouraged this, what we call in Cameroon, farm to market roads. He sent trucks to build. And even our second prime minister said there were Southern Cameroonians who were sent to a college in Madison under him for agriculture. And President Kennedy sent equipment. When those equipment came to Cameroon under Ahijo, he took those equipment, and Southern Cameroon never got it. If you go to, during those days, we had the best technical schools. We had banks, institutions. I mean, our economy was the best in Africa. So French Cameroon, they destroyed all the schools, the banking system, they looted all the money over to the French Cameroon. All the infrastructure, all the education was now turned into French schools. So as our leader said, their purpose was completely to eradicate our image. And if this had not happened now, give it 10 more years, this generation would never really know how Southern Cameroon was, and it will be the end of our identity. Some people have asked me, why do I spend so much time and passionate about this? I mean, a little bit about myself. You know, my father was really one of the first mayor of Bamenda. Like I said, I was the one who actually worked to establish the sister city relationship between Lowell and Bamenda. I actually worked with the mayor here and the government delegate and the governor in Bamenda. They exchange official documents to establish that sister relationship. And I am also from the dominant kingdoms there, the royal family. You know, my father was one of the first mayor of Bamenda, but he died when I was only 6 years old. And after my mother had died for 6 months before my father died in a car accident. So I grew up with that notion that, you know, it takes a village to raise a child. I'm really one of those that it really took a village to raise me. So all along I struggled. So anyone in the community, they raised us, and God opened the light and made me, here I am. So with that, ever since I've been in Lowell, there have been so many people that have really helped me and helped my family. So with that compassion that I get from people, when I see my people really suffer, I say the only thing that I can really give back is to see if I can bring the word to my fellow Americans, since I'm already an American, in my church and the people on the street, to see if they could stretch that arm of generosity, that village mentality that raised me, to reach across the Atlantic and see what they can do to end this senseless war.
Well, thank you very much, Fru. It's
Thank you.
just sobering.
Thank you. Our
Thank you
thoughts and
so much
prayers are with
for coming.
you.
Absolutely.
And I did.
Sorry.
One thing with me, I also like to give back. I've really worked with the Lowell police to sensitize the Lowell police about immigrant perspective in policing. And I even traveled to the Justice Department with former Boston Commissioner Ed Davis, who was the chief of police here in Lowell. So talking to people at the higher authorities as to the fact that we immigrants, we have different perspective with the policing from our country. Is quite different when you are coming from that background, and some of the things that happen is out of ignorance. And so I was able to bring that up, and I think Commissioner Ed Davis saw that it was valuable. So I traveled with him to attend chiefs of police conferences in the Western region, at Sacramento, and in the Eastern region, just giving that picture that if the police understand that someone from Africa, when the police stops you in Africa, it's out of respect for the police, you get out of your car to go and present your document. But if you come from that background, getting out of the car can cost you your life, because the police here have different, this is a different society. We are coming from a different society. And that ignorance there, you see, can cause unexpected death. So that was some contribution that I shared with the people here.
Well, Fru is a real community leader in Lowell, and hopefully will continue to do that, maybe even in town government or wherever.
Okay.
Thank
Good
you.
night. Thank you.
Speaking with us.
Thank you.
I thank you.
Thank you.
Really.
Bye.
Okay.
And thank you, Wendy, for organizing. too.
Indeed.
Yes.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye,
Then
Fru.
thank you very much for the opportunity.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Wendy. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye for.
Bye.